and welcome to this special edition of Literacy Now in the Library and Academic Resources Center. My name is Nancy Messina, and today we're going to have three guests that are going to talk to us about the building. Our first guest is the Director of Access Services, Lisa Young. Hello and welcome, Lisa.
Thank you so much for having me, Nancy. And like Nancy said, I'm Lisa Young, and I'm Director of Access Services here for Library Services at Lindenwood University. And I typically oversee the first contact that people have with the building and with library services. And we strive to be as welcoming and as helpful as possible as we get encounters via the phone or at the desk or over email. And we refer to the circulation desk as the front porch because it is that welcome center for the building.
Right. So your spot is so important. It's the first thing people see. So now that you're in the new Academic Library Resource Center, how do you think this new building helps you serve the community?
Sure. In this brand new space, there are numerous services or spaces where we can better serve the Lindenwood community. The building's inception was built upon just really listening to our users when we were in our old building and finding out what they need to grow and become more literate or just more literate in their areas of expertise. And so one of the main initiatives and the main components that came out of that is our technology enhanced group study rooms. So we have 3 group study rooms located on the 2nd floor that now have large video monitors. We provide wireless keyboard and mice for checkout. We also have spacious dry erase boards, and that all just enhances that teamwork and team study collaboration and learning. Additionally, we offer a couple other types of spaces for students to study in, particularly kind of personalized to how they study best. So where we are located right now is the Grove, and we call it the Grove because it has these unique window panes that represent the trees that decorate Lindenwood's campus. And in the Grove, it's a very high activity, very high traffic, and also very spacious. So those students that long for that kind of traffic activity space to study in, this is a great location for them. And we also have Starbucks seating within the busy coffee shop and Starbucks seating on the 2nd floor, again for those high traffic, high activity spaces. For those that like the tucked away cozy corners, those spaces to study in, which I was definitely one of those when I was a student, we offer quiet study space on the main floor surrounding our books and our collection. And then we also have a quiet study zone on our 2nd floor, and that offers just even individual study rooms where students can go in, they can close the door and be totally isolated and focused on their work and grow in their expertise in those quiet study zones.
Okay. So you talked a little bit about the technology in the building with the technology-enabled study rooms, but how do you feel the technology in the building helps you serve the community?
Sure. So yes, we talked about the group study rooms, which have been great, and we also offer a computer lab in the building, which also serves our users very well. We also offer an abundance of technology items for checkout from the circulation desk. So that includes Chromebooks, which have been very popular with our students, and webcams, graphic calculators. And we also have active listening devices, which are new this year, and those just provide sound support for our hearing impaired students so that they are able to have improved sound quality in their classrooms. I can't talk about technology, though, without talking about our media lab and our gaming center, which I'm excited for you to chat with Michael Fetters, our digital librarian, about. One key component, though, for technology and how it has served our users better is at the circulation desk we now have dual monitors, and so we can actually show our users what we're doing as we're showing them how to research and how to search for books in libraries catalog, how to access our ebooks and our audiobooks. It has just really enhanced our engagement of our users, and it truly helps us lead them better to become more of an expert and more literate in their areas of study.
Right. That's actually one of my favorites because I feel that having that double monitor allows me to show them exactly what's happening in real time. It's just very useful. So, because I want to empower people. That's what we do, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So, so the building itself, we have this huge building. It's not just the library. So it houses other departments within this building. So how do you think having these other departments within the building helps us serve the community, the Lindenwood community, better?
Great question. Two phrases come to mind when you mention that. One is ease of access and another one is team departmental service. So students can now come into this building and find multiple support services, where in the past they would have to go across campus from building to building to find these services. So now we've created this one-stop kind of shop for them. We house student academic support services, we house Veterans Affairs, International Office, Career Services, Writing Center, and I can't forget the provost and our technology department, our IT help desk, and our academic technology services. So a student could come in and she could need help with getting logged in and go to the help desk, and then she could get research assistance at library staff and at the circulation desk or the reference desk. And then she could go to the Writing Center on the 3rd floor and get assistance cultivating her research argument or her paper. And then in turn, a faculty member could come in and they could go see academic technology services, and they could get assistance in increasing or improving their online teaching, and then they could go down the hall to student support and academic services and get make accommodations for their students as well. So ease of access for the students, and now we have this departmental team service.
No, that's really awesome. I'm very excited that we have that ability to collaborate with all of these other departments. And I know this has already helped me in doing my job. So I'm so glad that that is working out. So we have just a little bit more time. So will you tell me, what is your favorite space in this huge building? I'm sure you now have your favorite space. What would you say?
I do. I love this building in its entirety, but I do have what I would call the Lisa zone, the Lisa favorite. And that is on the 2nd floor in the cafe balcony seating. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. You get this bird's eye view of the Grove, and then you also get this bird's eye view of the campus in its entirety, and it's absolutely beautiful. Beautiful space and a great place.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. When we come back, we will be joined by the digital librarian.
Music is a bridge between the material and the spiritual. As a blind person, you have to be aware that nobody can tell you what you can or can't do. You really have to try things. My wife, who was also blind, was a good cook. When she died, that's when I started Meals on Wheels. My name is Harvey Lauer. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
I'm Jenny Garth, and as a mother of 3, I know kids worry about a lot of things. Getting enough food to eat shouldn't be one of them. But here in America, that is a real worry for 1 in 5 children. This is unacceptable, and something Feeding America is working to solve. Through a nationwide network of food banks, Feeding America serves virtually every community in the United States, including yours. See how you can help your community. Visit feedingamerica.org. Together, we can solve hunger. Together, we're Feeding America.
Welcome back. We're now joined by our digital librarian, Michael Fetters. Hello and welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Nancy.
All right, so Michael, can you tell us a little bit about what you do in the Media Center?
Yes, the Media Center, it's kind of like a digital playground is the way I kind of look at it. We have our PCs and Macs that students can come into, and they're kind of equipped with a bunch of professional software and digital tools that allow them to bring a project from kind of beginning of the project to all the way through to the final project. We have a theater that they can pre-screen their work in to see what it looks like in a professional setting. We do have a room that they can use for storyboarding, idea. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. I mean, there's more to it than that, but.
Okay, that's cool. So how do the services and collections of the Media Center support the development of media literacy on this campus?
Well, it's kind of from start to finish project. So, I mean, to become literate with media, you really have to learn what the process of going into creating it is like. So we have the tools like the Wacom tablets for digital art creation. We have the Avid Media Composer and Final Cut softwares. This allows them to create professional video. We have 2 rooms that are equipped with podcasting capabilities, audio recording, very professional microphones. We have some Professor Levitt is actually creating some podcasts in our rooms this semester. So it allows them to experience it from all the different aspects of audio, video, digital artwork, from the very beginnings of the process to what the final project will look like. So it allows them to learn the tools, learns the software, learns the different terms that go with those softwares, of what those tools use. Because most tools use similar concepts, but they use different names. So this allows them to experience all of them.
Okay, awesome. That's really cool. So you've explained a little bit about what the Media Center has technology-wise. So exactly how are you like the overseer? I'm kind of curious, like what exactly do you get to do and what services do you provide besides kind of the technology?
I provide kind of the direction for the development of the Media Center. So it's I get to plan out the collection development. So we have a movie, DVD, video collection that they can check out. We have a game collection that supports the game design program on campus. And I get to kind of decide the direction for those collections. I also get to decide the programming in the Media Center. So we have a gaming tournament. We have a game day celebration. So all the different kinds of programming that goes along with the Media Center. We're working with the game design students right now to develop a game workshop to teach people on campus how to play different games that they've created. So I get to look at the entire vision of, okay, where is this Media Center going? What direction do we want to take things?
Okay, so kind of the big picture.
You get
to be more of the big picture guy, which is, I think, kind of the fun part.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Awesome. So how do all of the different services of the Media Center kind of work together? What opportunities do they provide for students to work on their different projects? I mean, you explained that a little bit, but can you go in depth a little bit more?
So yeah, it's like a one-stop shop. To borrow a phrase that Elizabeth McDonald likes to use, it's students can go there from the very beginnings of the project when they're just getting their ideas going and they're not really sure what they want to create. So we have rooms for them that they can go to with storyboarding and punchboard type of setup, so that they can work on brainstorming, really, because that's really the beginning of a project, whether it's digital art, whether it's a video, and then you need to do storyboarding for, a podcast you need to create a script for. So the very beginning of it, and then it leads them to the next project, which is using the software to actually create the project. We're actually working on getting video recording technology, so camcorders, those kinds of things that they can use to record with, take stock footage so they can work those into your videos, using this software to edit out things that don't sound good, like they may do on this particular video, for instance. And that's the actual creation and editing process. Once they polished it, you need a place to go and actually screen it, to look at it. Okay, well, now that I've created it, what is it going to look like if I take it out into the world? What are people going to actually experience it? So we have the theater for that, and that allows them to get the 3D experience of the audio, so they can hear it with a complete true surround sound and the actual high definition projector. So that's what it kind of means, is it's allowing them to see it from every stage of the process.
Okay, that's very nice, I know. And I always am curious about the theater, because it's like, all right, how does all of that play together? So it's nice to hear exactly how you go from that creation, that idea, and then you get to see it actually develop and how you would present it in the theater experience. So that's really awesome. Is there anything special about the AV editing rooms that we have? So you talk about the whole process. We have the theater. Can you tell me a little bit about the audiovisual editing rooms? Do they have something special, or?
Well, they're set up specifically for recording. So they're self-contained studios. They have high-end Macs with 4K screens in them. They have high-end mics. It's been soundproofed to keep other sounds from actually leaking in. I don't know.
People can't photobomb or
So people
sound bomb.
Sound bomb, which actually, I've had some departments on campus say, they've recorded in their office and they can hear toilets flushing and they can hear people using the restroom, and it's very unprofessional. They either have to try to edit it out or it ends up making its way in, and you don't want that in when you're doing a professional recording. So this has been set up with appropriate soundproofing.
Okay.
It can be set up for multiple people if you're doing interviews, so we can have additional microphones can be set up in there.
Okay.
We have the entire subwoofers, and they have a color correction monitor, which can allow you to color correct your videos so that the color is truly corrected. It's a little technical to kind of explain how those work, but yeah, they're set up with all the appropriate professional equipment that allows you to do things you can't do on just a regular PC.
All right, so I think that's cool. I love that we have those rooms. But I think probably the room that maybe the most students are getting the most use out of so far up in your area is the gaming lab. So can you tell us a little bit about the gaming lab? What exactly is it?
Oh yes, that's probably one of my favorite rooms because I'm a gamer at heart and I grew up gaming. So it's set up with two 65-inch 4K screens with an Xbox One as well as PS4s on both of those.
Okay.
And there's also a gaming PC set up in there with a virtual reality headset, Oculus Rift, and a vintage gaming collection. Both of these are ostensibly partially to support the game design program on campus.
Right.
But as you can imagine, a lot of people use them for recreation as well.
Yeah, relax.
So yeah, that gets a lot of use. Students are almost always in there playing some of the new games. We're always looking for ideas for titles that they want. And eventually what we see that happen is students who are in the game design programs will actually create their own programs. They can be played on maybe the PlayStations or the PCs that's in there.
Perfect.
And so other students will be able to showcase what they're actually creating on campus here, which is really cool.
All right, well, thank you so much, Michael, for joining us today.
Thank you.
When we come back, I will be joined by the University Archivist.
I want to eat apples and bananas. I need to eat apples and bananas. Why can't I eat apples and bananas?
Support the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks to help provide meals to those in need. Join us at feedingamerica.org.
Fancy pants peanut butter? A big screen television? They haven't even bought a sofa yet. A motorcycle? When your father finds out, he's gonna flip his shoes with 2 buckles? What do you even need 2 buckles for? Mr. Big Shot, buying whiskey shots for everybody in the bar. From the looks of it, I'd say nobody even remembers. Feed the pig.
Welcome back. We are now joined by University Archivist Paul Huffman. Hello and welcome, Paul.
Hi.
All right, so could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what exactly is an archive?
Sure. So I came to be an archivist in a roundabout sort of way. This is actually a second career for me.
Okay.
I'd been in retail for a number of years and decided that I wanted a change in life. Went back to school and went to school for library science. But I knew I wanted to be something a little bit more than a librarian. So back when I was a kid, my grandparents were very into family history, and so they would drag me along into archives and research facilities, and I guess I kind of picked up the bug for research there. And so I always had this interest in being able to put together fact sets from various sources, be able to build a picture of a person or an era, and yeah.
Awesome. So that's pretty darn cool. So what exactly is an archive itself?
Okay. So the simplest way to describe an archive is it's an institutional memory for so like for Lindenwood, the archives has official publications, they have meeting minutes, they have photos, audio, visual, anything related to Lindenwood that we could possibly preserve so that people could see into a glimpse of a particular time period or individual at Lindenwood. We tried to save those items.
Okay, but there are many different types of archives. So
Sure.
Is that basically what an archive is trying to save historical records for different types of things?
So like in the St. Louis area, there's probably a couple hundred different archives.
Oh my gosh.
Some can be as small as like just for a college like Lindenwood.
Okay.
There's National Archives has their military records in North Counties in St. Louis. All the records for military records for the country from the very beginning are stored in North County. But then you have places like St. Louis University where back during World War II when Hitler was invading Europe and taking people's art collections and historical records and all that, the Catholic Church was very worried about what would happen to their records if Hitler invaded Rome. And they quickly photographed all the items, put it on microfilm, and sent it to the place that they thought would be one of the last places Hitler would reach, which would be St. Louis, Missouri. And so you go,
Okay.
if you couldn't make it to Rome or the Vatican City to look up some Catholic records there, St. Louis is actually probably the next best place to do it. And our archives is the best place that you could go to find stuff related to Lindenwood, and we have regional and local history as well.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so that tells us a little bit about what sort of things we have. So what is the oldest thing in our archives?
It's funny because there's no provenance for where it came from, but some of our oldest things, we have some illuminated manuscripts in the archives dating back to the 13th century, and they're really cool. They have the intricate gold and etchings in it, and yeah, so that's our oldest item.
That's our oldest item. Okay.
So I guess if you wanted to elaborate, if I wanted to elaborate on that a little bit more as far as some of the more interesting things that we have.
Okay.
The Sibleys, the founders of Lindenwood, were, before they founded Lindenwood, George Sibley was a U.S. government employee that traded with the Indians out near Kansas City when it was the frontier. Mm-hmm. And after they closed down that trading post with the Indians, Sibley helped survey the trail that later became known as the Santa Fe Trail mm-hmm. down to the southwestern United States. And so we have a lot of those records of his interactions with the Indians, his interactions with the Mexican government, so that we could have a clear pathway there without Indians attacking U.S. citizens as they traded with the Mexicans.
Okay, pretty cool. That's pretty awesome. Okay, so what does an archives do to stay relevant in a digital world? So it seems like it's a lot of paper, but...
Sure. So prior to the 1990s, nearly everything that was produced and saved in the archives would have been paper-based related. Now that we're more in the digital age, there's the majority of the things coming to the archives is digital related.
Okay.
And but because there's always changing format styles and programs, and because there's no solid way of preserving things, you're always having to keep updated with the different formats and programs to access that material. So, mm-hmm. for instance, even though it's not a new technology, say a recording 100 years ago would have been on a cylinder record, and then it later turned into a disc, and then CD or tapes and
right.
CDs. And so it's always changing, and it's the same way with digital files.
Okay.
And so I have to stay on top of that, but also part of the way to stay relevant is to make that stuff available to the public. So on the library website, we have an archives webpage with a lot of digitized items that people mm-hmm. can access. So if they can't make it to the archives but need something rather soon, they can go there. We've also digitized things that are little more fragile and rare, and so rather than having 100 people handle something and maybe make it deteriorate even more, we have the digital files that will help preserve the item longer.
Awesome. Very cool. I know my favorite thing that you've digitized is the yearbooks. I always find it so fun to look at the different yearbooks because you just never know what different groups of students will have done over the years. So I think that's a fun resource. So with all that being said, so we have our archives, they're in this new building. How does being in this building help you? How do you think it has helped you?
My biggest concern in the old building was that we didn't have fire protection and we didn't have temperature and humidity controls, which are very vital for preserving records.
Right.
So for 10 years that I've been an archivist for Lindenwood, I always had to push in the back of my mind, man, I hope this building doesn't go up in flames, because if we lose it, then this stuff is gone forever. And so I digitized what was very important.
Right.
But there was always that concern. So now that we're here in this building, we have that fire protection, we have that temperature and humidity control, and hopefully will help preserve the historic records even longer than if we were in the old building.
Awesome. No, I think that's really good. So just a little bit longer. What is your favorite thing in the archives?
Well, I had mentioned the Sibley records. We actually have a plat map. Basically, it's just a map of Lindenwood that one of the founders of Lindenwood, George Sibley, created in 1850, showing the layout of the campus at that time. And it's very detailed. It shows where specific trees are and the garden and where the animals are kept. And so eventually, hopefully, I can get together with our archaeology professor and some of our GIS professors to be able to determine where exactly these things were in our modern campus now.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Paul, for joining us today. This concludes our special edition of Literacy Now. I hope you'll join us next time.